I'm just going through videos. This is the third one today. In this video, we're gonna cover the Spool Helix installation, the overdrive for the high pressure fuel pump, which is located right there. So I'm just gonna start with the installation itself. Intake manifold, all that stuff is out the way. So if you don't know how to do that, you can probably watch another video of how to take all that off. I don't have one yet. I will have one soon though. But for now, this is just, hey, we're at the Helix. We're at the high pressure fuel pump. These are the steps you have to take. First step I took was removing this 11mm bolt off of the hard line, and then cracking the high pressure fuel lines open. So those are 17mm. I have rags around them just in case they leak fluid, because I didn't really depressurize the system. But it's always good to depressurize the system by pulling the fuse out inside and cranking the car until it doesn't start anymore before you take it off. All right, so just again loosening these lines. You probably have a little bit of fuel loss. And that's okay, just make sure you have rags. And make sure you're not hitting the alternator or the starter, positive wires. Sparking gas is not good. And air, because we're around here. All right, so I see a little bit of fuel coming out, so I'm just gonna cover that up. And go ahead and remove that line. All right, good stuff. I didn't really lose a lot of fuel. So just move that line out the way. And the next step I'm gonna do is remove the two connectors. One is for the fuel. Is that the fuel pressure sensor? I forgot what it's called, low pressure fuel sensor. And then the one that's actually going to the high pressure fuel pump right here. So it's a push down connector, but you gotta push down on both sides and then pull out. So right there and right there. And then as for this connector, it's just like your T-map where you gotta stick a little screwdriver on the other side and take it off. That's off, very easy. It's like a T-map sensor. Next step I'm gonna do is remove that 17 right over there. That's going it's the hard fuel line that's going into the high pressure fuel pump. Again, make sure you don't get any gas out of there. You can't make sure you can't get any gas out, but put a rag there so it absorbs any gas. No gas, that's good. All right, and then what I'm gonna do after that is go on to this side. There is a push connector. So what you gotta do is push this little blue clip in. Don't mind all the oil leaks, my oil pan gasket's bad. You're gonna push that connector in with one hand all the way and pull out this line with the other hand. So I'm gonna go ahead and do it off video, and then I'll show you how it looks. All right, I'm back 30 seconds later, and that's literally how long it took me. It was very easy. What I actually did was when I pushed back on that blue connector, I actually pulled back on this line, not on that line, because obviously that line doesn't have any movement. So push that in, pull back, and it is free. I can now remove this line. Once I unscrew it all the way. Oh, it's unscrewed all the way. Oh, nope, I lied. There's a little Torx holding that in place. So go ahead and remove that as well. Looks like a E12. Whoop-de-doo. I was right on with that size. It was an E12. Again, I would highly recommend disconnect your battery. If not, even if it is disconnected, still make sure you don't hit the ratchet with that starter cable because it's hot. Once I got that off, this line will come off. And we're actually going to be doing something special with this line here and here just a bit. Because this has to get bent out the way. So when the Helix is on, the starter, when the Helix is on, this line clears the starter. So operate this device with my knee. Oops, down a little bit. There you go. So from the pictures I saw online, it looks like you just pull this back and it bends very easily. You just got to make sure you don't bend it too much to where it cracks or kinks. I think I'm just gonna keep it like that. And then I'd rather go a little bit and then do more if I need to, rather than going too far and cracking this. So do that and keep that off the way. Back at the car, we are now gonna take a 5mm hex and take off 3 little hex bolts holding this into place. So there's one right over here. That's barely getting on there. I might have to get a longer socket. One down here, I believe right here somewhere. I'm probably gonna get that with just a normal Allen wrench. And then the third one is right over there. Now, again, I'll probably get that with the normal Allen wrench as well. Cause yeah, there's no way I could reach that with this socket. So go ahead and remove those 3 and this should pop right off. Now you will lose some oil. So not that you need to add any more, but just make sure you have a rag under there. So I'm gonna do that off camera and I'll be right back. Okay, a little mechanics trick right here I wanna show you guys. So got a little long 5mm Allen wrench, but the short side can't get any torque on there. So all you gotta do is take some kind of socket. This is an E10 socket with a 1/4" extension, and boom, break it loose. And then you just keep on going. And then once it's loose, you can spin this sucker out pretty easily. So just want to show you that trick to get that one off. I can do the same thing on this one. And I believe the same thing on that one as well. Yep, see, 3 for 3. See, they're all loose. So go ahead, remove those, and the high pressure fuel pump should just come right out. All right, those 3 are out. There you go, that's the oil I was talking about. I told you to put a rag there and I forgot it myself. But look at that, that is now off. If you were to be replacing this high pressure fuel pump, reverse those steps, put that one back in, call it a day. Because I'm gonna go ahead and install the Helix, which I have right here. So I didn't get the micron filter, so I apologize. I can't show you how to do that, but I can show you how to install this guy right here. And it looks like there's no, there's a special way that goes on. So the 2 bolts that are closer to each other are gonna be facing you as such. And then that back one is obviously going to be towards the passenger side of the vehicle. Okay, before you put this on, don't forget, absolutely do not forget, or you'll have a major oil problem. You have to remove the seal from the high pressure fuel pump. If I could do that with my nails. Yes, I can. Okay, and put it on the overdrive. All right, please do not forget that step, otherwise you'll be in major trouble. Obviously there's oil contained over there. You just want the oil to leave. Now you might be wondering, hey, now what do you do? My kit didn't come with a new seal. Well, good news is you don't have to worry about it because there is no oil being pressurized on this side, right? It's just spinning. It's a sealed unit. So you don't have to worry about there being a seal on this side. All you do is simply just put that on there, and you're good to go. Obviously, it's not going on because I have to line up the gear as such. This is hard. So, line up the gear, tap it in place. Make sure it spins, which it does. You can see the fuel coming out when I spin it, so I'm good to go. It's all tapped in place, and it's ready to go on, all right? Next step is to get the new bolts. We're gonna have to reuse our old bolts because we have new bolts now. Should be the same size, 5mm. We're gonna get those through. and install this puppy on. All right. He's in. Just if you look inside, I should take a video of that, but if you look inside there before putting the Helix in, you can clearly see the direction of the little gear in there. So you just kind of match your Helix up with that. Put it in there, wiggle it a bit, and it just sits flush right in there. It's pretty much how you got the HPFP on the Helix. It's the same way the Helix goes onto the block. So very easy. Then you get your 3 screws inside, tighten them in. I don't really know the torque spec. I just went with is tight is right. So again, I use my little trick on the 3rd one. Right, you get that on there. Use extension to get torque on the 3rd one, and you're pretty much good to go. One thing I did forget to mention, and you can't see it because my glove's on there right now, and it hurts. I kind of cut my finger open on this stupid little thing. But you gotta take this off right here. It's a 13mm bolt. Use a wrench on there. I tried using a socket, it didn't work. It slipped, cut me on that. But just use a wrench on that, take that out the way so you can put the line on, all right? Yes, my friend came through. Shout out to Hayward. Finally get to have both my hands and my beautiful face. Okay, so, and that fell. That line is now in. Looks like whatever I bent worked, because it looks like it's clearing the starter. So I just got that off straight off Spool's website. I went ahead and screwed this line back in. That looks like it's good. It looks like it's clearing the starter. Looks like all is well over here. Right.
So this is the line going to the back of the...
Yeah, it's the line going from the low pressure fuel pump, so I think it's good. Yeah, it looks like it's good. All right. So once that's snugged in, you can put this fuel line, because it's flexible, obviously. Because that line is flexible, it just pulls back. And I showed you it was pretty easy to remove. It's even easier to put back on. It's on a little bracket, so I'm gonna have to take it off that little. There it is. It's even easier to put on because all you do is literally just push. There you go. You heard that slap in place. So that line is now on. Pull back on it just to make sure. Yep, it's on there. You can see the line moving around. So whatever bend I did was successful. I'll go ahead and take my 17. Again, make sure you don't hit the starter or the alternator power wires. And you should always have your battery disconnected. And I should follow my own rules. That's close for comfort. You're gonna have to go Superman on it, but do make sure it's snug. Alright, that's pretty snug. Oops. That's pretty snug. I don't think that's going anywhere. Yep, I like that. I hope. Because then I gotta take the intake manifold off again. That would suck. Alright, so it looks like that's on there pretty good. Next thing we're gonna do is get this actually, we could put the connectors back in. So it was this connector here, which I'm gonna put this one on first. That's for the high pressure fuel pump. Goes on as so. Okay, so this little open side goes on top. That connects in. Then we take this one for the starter. You can put the starter one back in, and then last but not least, this one for the low pressure fuel line. That clips back in.
Where's that one go?
This one?
Okay.
That's for the low pressure fuel line. Those three are the ones I took out. They're back in. This one is for the top MAP sensor on the intake manifold. That's for your T-bar. And then this vacuum line, I don't know how that's gonna work. I'll make sure to include in the video because this is now in the way of it. So we'll figure that out. They're probably just gonna be dangling down there. So that's all good. Last step is getting our new feed line to the high pressure fuel rail, which comes from, which they supply you with. So Ansaflex, that looks like it's the brand. I would think they're smart enough to make sure this is ready for E85, considering that's what everyone's gonna be using it for.
Oh yeah, good point.
But either way, I'm full sending it. I'll probably look into it later. I'm just gonna record this part number. Ansaflex, HD206 EN853. All right, so yeah, I'm just gonna assume it's ready for E85. Okay, it looks like this one would go here and there. Which one would make more sense? Would it even matter? It looks like it's the same on both ends. Let's figure it out. I'm gonna go ahead and hand start that one. It's not being friendly. Oh, there's a little O-ring in there. That's supposed to be the heck? No, that can't be right. That's weird. So if you look at these lines, they got little O-rings versus where the stock ones don't. The stock one looks like it's much bigger opening. So I don't know what's going on with that. Do I gotta take the O-ring off or what? It's not even. I don't know if it's the N54 versus N55 difference. They didn't make it specify when I was buying this line. That looks like I caught. Okay, that caught on. I'll put this under all that stuff. Looks like that side went on much easier, from the looks of it. I don't know what I'm doing wrong here. It also could be because of my finger. So it also could be because, oh, there it is, okay. But I feel like that's too much line. I'm not supposed to do with all that. I'm gonna pause this video and I'm gonna go look on the website real quick. All right, well, found a little dilemma here. One, their line is red. Looks so freaking cool. They gave me a plain old boring white line. But two, they have a straight. They got a straight angle right there, and they have the 90 at the fuel line, which makes sense. It's routed pretty nicely right under this oil filter housing behind that. If you go look at my line, over there, don't mind the mess. Never work in a messy environment. Just have a lot going on today. Look at my line. One, looks like I got way more line to work with. I do have the 90 over there, but then on the high pressure fuel pump itself, it's another 90. It's not just a straight line, so I just have a lot more line. Mine's just not gonna tuck away nicely, but I'm gonna have to work with what I have. So I'm gonna snug that stuff down. After that, I'm gonna not even bolt that one back in. I'm just gonna leave this out the way, maybe zip tie it somewhere. And I think the installation is done, right? Once we tie in those two up, we'll just put everything back together and see how she runs. Have everything solid, ready to go. Everything's plugged in, lines are lined up. That one fits under. I had to loosen this and lift it up a bit so that connector can go in. The intake manifold is ready to go on. So looks like that's about it for the Helix install. Wasn't too bad. I am gonna email Spool about this line if I do have problems with it, just because it looks different than the one on their website. But who knows, maybe this is the new revised version. So anyways, thanks for watching. Any questions or comments, comment below as always, and I'll make sure you get to them. And good luck on your install if you're doing it as well. Happy boosting. That's a new term. I'm gonna start using that. All right, this is how the line's routed. Comes up, goes behind there, and it bolts onto the fuel line. I had to cut this cover. Fortunately, when I cut it, it just cracked, but it's no worries. It was already cracked anyways, but from before. But make sure you have to trim the cover right here, and everything else is good. It is on. Putting the tune on, and we'll go from there.